Welcome to the Art Colony, a podcast about art and art history in Provincetown. My name is Gaston Lacombe. I have my art gallery in the Whalers Wharf in the center of Provincetown. You all know this by now. And there, on the ground floor, I'm surrounded by multiple other artists and artisans who are also running their own businesses and selling their own products, like I do. We all take great pride in telling our clients that we are the artists and we are the creators, but oddly enough, we're also all men. For some of my visitors, that has not gone unnoticed. Over the years, I've had many women asking me, where are the artist owned art galleries run by women? And for many years, I really didn't have an answer for them. But that's until a couple years ago with the arrival of the Radiance Art Gallery in the east end of town, which is run by women artists. And we have one of them here today. Let's welcome to the podcast, Myra Kooy. Hi, Myra.
Hi,
I'm so happy to have you here.
I'm really happy. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's very exciting. I've been enjoying listening to the podcast and flattered that I get to join the cohort.
Well, great. I'm glad to have a fan visiting. So tell us, who is Myra Kooy?
Oh, I love this question when I get to listen to other people answer it. Who is Myra Kooy? Um, Myra Kooy is not somebody that like resides in a box. Myra Kooy loves to explore. As a child, I just made things out of whatever I would find, and as an adult, I continue to be inspired by um, gifted objects, objects that I stumble over while I'm hiking, objects that might be hanging out of a dumpster, objects that are actually in an art store. But who is Myra? Myra is a lover of people, a person who seems to be in a lot of white spaces as a Black human and wants to create space for other Black humans to be able to come into those spaces. Myra is a person that listens to the wind, that swims in the ocean in the morning. Even I was swimming today, who looks at like a pine cone and thinks about the wonder of what it could be as a tree. That's who Myra is.
Well, that's very poetic. I feel like you practiced.
I didn't actually. Not at all.
um, so if we go back to the very beginnings of Myra, where do we find you?
You would find me in the woods. I was raised in New Jersey. My family had a kind of, it was a small farm because there were a lot of farms around us. We weren't really a farm, but we did drink goat's milk as children, and sometime it was warm, and that wasn't so tasty. So the first time I went to a McDonald's, I actually asked for cow's milk, and I didn't know how they were going to make the hamburger hot because everything just was like so shiny and bright. I was like, how do you make a warm hamburger in a place like this? Anyway, so Myra loved to my family, like my dad was a landscape architect designer, so we had like all sorts of really tools all around us. And my mother loved to knit and create and sew and make patios and with beautiful stone patterns. And so I was just a part of like I was living in a space that believed that you could do anything with the things that you had around you. Right. So I would always go off into the woods and bend a tree bough and crawl underneath it and create like a little fort under there and run back to the house for, to the barn for like bricks or other things that I could go back to my little fort and make a little patio out in front of it. And, you know, um, I just lived in this wonderful, like, kind of world of wonder. Like, if I thought about it, I would go run into the house and get it and bring it back out to my little fort. And then all of a sudden, that fort wouldn't be as interesting because it was almost done. And I would have to go find a new one. And I realized that that's kind of the way that I function. Um, Once I kind of feel like the wonder in a material or an idea kind of uh, is lost, or it's not lost, or it's been received, yeah, then I'm ready to move on to another medium. And then all of a sudden, that medium will swap juices with the old medium. And like, yeah, so there's no closing off doors. I was also adopted into a Dutch family. And by doing that, it was just a real interesting um, experience because they weren't American. They were very Dutch, 'cause and I have gained a lot by, like, just seeing the world through their eyes as well.
Did
And
you learn to speak Dutch?
as a child, I seem to have had a really thick Dutch accent because my parents did, and that confused people, but they used, the Dutch language as a way to discuss, our Christmas presents, birthday presents, and our punishments.
Uh-huh.
So they really loved having their own language because they had 6 kids, 3 of their own and then 3 that they adopted,
Mhm.
and they were just like, "Yeah, we need our own language," and they had one.
My parents did that with English because our language at home was French.
Yeah.
But my sister and I learned English quite rapidly because, it was on TV, was everywhere, so they couldn't use the secret language anymore. But you said your parents were in late landscape architecture. Do you feel that sort of influenced your development as an artist?
For sure. Yeah. Well, my dad, who's, pretty much, my mentor in many ways. So was my mom in a different way. But my dad used to recognize if I were sad or things were going a little awry, and he would take me for a walk in the woods, and he would just explain to me how nature works, right? And I was able to take that explanation and compare it to maybe my life experience, what was bothering me, what was happening, and so I've really learned nature as my go-to, um, as my spiritual, like, guru. Once you think you got it, it will just kind of change right in front of you, right? It's like, "Oh, wait, that's happening," and then something happens over here which changes it. Like, I was walking today in the woods, and as I was walking on this path, there was all these, like, puddles and things, and, there was branches, and I was like, "Oh, wow, I'll just go around," and you have to go around them, and, like, that's what some problems, you just go around them, and sometimes you duck underneath them because that's what a branch is asking you to do, and sometimes you decide, "Wow, I'm gonna confront that branch."
And at what point did you sort of feel it within yourself that you were an artist, that this is the life for you?
Well, that's a really interesting question because I lived in a way that I was an artist, right? My apartments, I would paint murals on the wall and, build, very organic shelves from bark that I would find in the park or something. And I feel like being an artist isn't something that you create and then you make it and then it hangs on a wall or it stands in a corner as a 3D piece. I think of art as a lifestyle. So it's what you choose to put on your body. It's what you choose to surround yourself with. It's what you choose to drive. Even like I really feel like it's if you're driving, it's who you decide to spend your time with and have a conversation with. All those things are an art of life. They affect how you think. They affect how you create. When you're sitting down and creating, and you shut your eyes, there's this amazing, wonderful thing that can happen if you've just had a beautiful conversation or if you listened to a poem from a poet. My partner's a poet and I love poetry,
We'll talk
so
about her later.
language
We'll
is
talk about Kate
delicious.
behind her back.
Oh, we will not.
So sorry, I interrupted you. Yeah.
Anyway, so I really do think that's what embodies me as an artist, not being a painter or being a printmaker or a sculptor in any way, even though all those things are my I love all of them and I love to mix them. Um, it's also like that's why we do loveralls, at the shop. It's how you glide through life, what you choose.
I was looking at your website doing research, and
Mhm.
I saw a lot on there that I hadn't seen before. And this links with what you're saying that you are approaching art with a lot of different types of medium. It's not just you know, I do paintings and that's it. You have a lot of different types of arts. So could you describe or go through your journey a little bit of the art you've created?
That would be fun. That could be really a lot of fun. The journey is an interesting journey because it might even start with the fact that I walked down the graduation of high schools to get my diploma, and I knew that I didn't earn it, but I promised myself I would get like a bachelor's degree before I was 60 that I had earned because I wasn't really great at the normal everyday learning process. I'm very dyslexic, so my reading is slow and a little bit stuttered, but I love to read anyway. That pushes you into this place of where you would like to explore making money, right? And so I would make a pair of suspenders. This is a great example. I made a pair of suspenders, and um, everybody that I was around me wanted a pair of suspenders, so I made them for them. Then um, I had this friend, this girlfriend that I danced with. She was adorable, and she made these little scrungy things that you put in the back of your hair. And then she would go to Soho and she would like make a bunch of them and throw them down on a blanket and sell them on the street. And she would make like over $100 like on Saturday and Sunday, like every day. I was like, oh, well, I'm gonna make a bunch of suspenders and I'm gonna go do that, right? So I went to Astor Place and right next to the booksellers, and I put my little portfolio bag down with 8 suspenders on it. Now that was a lot for me to make in a sitting, and I put my suspenders down. I sold 3, like, within less than a half hour standing there, and so the bookseller was next to me. I was like, "Hey, what would you watch my things? I'll get you something from the store." And he said, "Yeah, sure, no problem. Get me a 40." And I was like, "Yeah, sure, no problem. I'll get you a 40." Did have no clue what a 40 is, right? So I was like, "All right, I'll just go over to the store and be like, can I have a 40?" Right? So I go into the store and I was like, do you sell 40s?" And they're like, "Yeah." And they're like these huge, like, 40-ounce beers that like I was like laughing because I was like, oh God, now I know what a 40 is. Right. So I get him a 40 and it's in a paper bag. I bring them in the 40. And let me tell you, he just told me all the ins and outs of how to sell products on the street after I gave him the 40. And that was never the best, like, $2 I've ever spent in my life because from then on, I found my own place away from everybody that was between the N and the R train, and there was a telephone booth. This is when telephone booths actually existed. And so I could tell people the telephone number of my little shop between, and I put my suspenders down, and they would call every once in a while. Myra, do you have a red pair? Yeah. Could you put it aside? I'll
They
be
would call
there
on the public phone?
on the public phone.
Oh,
And
wow.
and I and I was like, "Yeah, no problem. I'll put them aside for you," and I made those little scrungy things in the back of your jacket. And that was my, like, claim to fame for that particular series of art that I was doing. But they were really artistic. They had like all sorts. I made peace signs out of them, and like they were really fun. And anyway, I'd go dancing, and they'd be like, "Oh, Spender Lady," and it was like it was cute. It was cute. I did recognize at one point that people wanted to wear baggy pants and suspenders were going to go out real soon, so I did stop that and move on to other things. But so I went from there, and meanwhile, like it was craft, right? But they were artistic. But what in my home, I was still painting and I was doing art, and but I never really thought of myself as an artist, right? It's just a lifestyle, and and push like going forward. And I've sold a lot of different things on the streets, in Jacob Javits, and different places. And finally, I met this bi Black community. And in the bi Black community, there's a range of craft and a range of art. And the craft is high end. There's like no like Schlotsky. It's really high end and it's gorgeous. And the art is other. So I was walking one of these shows, and I was like, "Oh my God, this work is amazing. Oh wow." And all of a sudden it dawned on me, I was in that show selling my wares, meaning that maybe I'm an artist too. And that really was the moment that I claimed myself as an artist, because I realized if I could be a part of this community or, have my things in this space with these other artists, that that is good.
That's
So
such a beautiful story. It really is. Going from selling suspenders on the street to now having a gallery in Provincetown. But in the meantime, you went back to school, right? You did an MFA quite recently. How was that?
I started it like one semester before the lockdown of COVID. And it was like the best thing ever because I don't know that I would have like sat still to do all the assignments quite as well as I did because of COVID, right? But I I realized I wouldn't go into debt. I'm a black woman, LGBTQ queer woman. Like having a degree is a power piece. It's not because I had been learning art. I've learned so many different forms of art. I'd been, so to go to school for art was not like a complete necessity. I do think I got a lot out of the experience. But it was really interesting. It was really interesting. I was butting my heads with some of the professors, because they wanted something else from me that I wasn't whatever it was, I wasn't giving them what they wanted, and I don't know what that was. But in the end, I was able to build, like, a house and, 8 huge sculptures and, huge masks all over the wall and, oil paintings, and it was just a gorgeous show, and of course, nobody got to see it, but it's okay. But and I was really, really proud of myself because I also got to explore the nature of being a black woman raised in a white family. My biological family was introduced to me after I did a stint at the Smithsonian for young museum field because I was in the museum field, the children's museum field. I was in the education portion, and I was invited to go there to help with a project. And somebody there recognized me and they introduced me to my biological family. And so I met my grandmother at 78 she was. And she died at 99 and she was the one I was supposed to meet for sure. For sure, for sure. And a lot of artwork came from her that I've done comes from her and my I got to learn who like a little bit more about uh what's nature and nurture. So that's really interesting. But the family that is my family is the perfect family for me. My mom was such a creative. My father was such a creative. Like the universe stepped in and said, "Oh, this is where she has to be."
That's really beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah. How was it though being an adult at your point? You were in your 50s, I guess.
I
Being
was
in
57 and a half. I started
being in a master's program at
50.
university with all these kids in their 20s.
Well, that's the beauty of City College, right? There are other older returning students, you know? Um, so I wasn't I mean, maybe I was the oldest. I don't know. I really don't know. But it's really nice to actually like look and listen to young people's minds and see what they're doing and their freedom and their like I mean, there was a different like, I would spend hours and hours on something, and not everybody always would spend that same amount of time and still come out with, like, something that's really, really interesting, and the way that they looked at it and how they related to what they called history, which was, when I was, maybe 20. Like, they weren't born. So it was really I think we all got along really well. But again, because of the fact it was COVID, we were doing a lot of stuff online and showing our work online, which is, if you're taking a photograph of a piece of work or if you're experiencing it in person, it's a really different thing. And I know you know that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's also scientific research about that. Experiencing art in person has a whole different biological reaction in your body than just seeing a picture.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what my new work is about.
Ooh. Before we continue, I have an announcement from our friends at the Provincetown Art Association and Museum. The Provincetown Art Association and Museum is pleased to announce the inaugural Robert Motherwell and Renate Ponzold Research Fellowship, supported by the Robert Motherwell and Renate Ponzold Scholars Endowment Fund, a one-year low-residency fellowship supporting original research on the visual arts and artists of the Outer Cape Cod, with a primary emphasis on the arts and artists of Provincetown. This is a program that's aimed for scholars, academics, PhD students. And to apply, you can find details and a link to the application at paam.org. So pam.org. And just go there. And if you know people that would fit this category, academics, scholars, PhD students who are looking to research our rich and wonderful history of art here on the Cape, let them know. paam.org. So, Myra, now you have a gallery in Provincetown called Radiance Gallery. Tell us, how did that come about? How did you end up, founding a gallery here?
That's really interesting. I actually was I moved, and that first year I worked on the house, made it really nice. Then the second year I was like, well, maybe I'll find out about a studio or something like that. So I sat down with Michelle Axelson, who owns Women Crafts, and I've known her for quite a while. And so while we were talking, I said, what is it like to open up, like a store in town or a gallery? And, I don't know what the rules are, right? In a small town, you want to respect the rules, right? And understand that you don't stepping on somebody's toes unintentionally, right? And so she said, oh, you're thinking about that? Well, Women Crafts has a space downstairs. I was like, oh, you do? And so it kind of birthed out of that. I would never have thought to do a gallery in a sense if it weren't for that invitation in a way. I feeling like our way of wanting to exist in the world is very complementary. I feel very safe as a Black queer woman to be under Women Crafts. Uh, I just am really so complimented. And my partner, Kate Wallace-Rogers, who shares the space with me, is a poet and an amazing poet that's known around town for her words, shares the space with me. And without sharing the space with Kate and sharing the space with Women Crafts, all of those things make the foundation beautiful. But I love to create forts and spaces that people go into that they feel welcomed. And when I lived in Hoboken, I had a place, my apartment. I turned it into a space that was called Myra's Place. And on Friday night, people would just come in and come over. And, I had from clothes on a rack to jewelry on a wall to art on the walls, and anything was for sale. But a lot of people actually borrowed stuff because they didn't really have enough money, and they would rent like an outfit or something like that, or rent and it was really fun. We just chilled and relaxed and enjoyed each other's company, had wine together, and they would bring things for us to eat and share, and it was called Myra's Place, and it was a kind of a community space. And here, I think that's exactly what Radiance Art is. It's about the energy that when they walk in that space, it feels warm and inviting. And when I was building it, I have a very good friend, Lauren, and she helped me feng shui. So I feng shuied the space, and I believe it works.
Well, good.
And one of the funniest things about feng shui is the wealth of the space is in the bathroom in our particular space. So you have to make sure the lid is always down.
Okay. Don't let it escape.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I said first of all, I have to remind our listeners that our very first episode was with Michelle Axelson. So if you go back into our archives, episode number 1 of the Art Colony podcast, we actually talked about Myra during that episode with Michelle Axelson about the history of women crafts. So you can go back and listen to that. So I said in my introduction that for years now, I've had women come to my gallery and say, where are the women artists? Where are the women galleries? Do you feel that you're now seeing these clients, that you're meeting that need?
Liz Collins has 411, and that's a women-owned space.
Liz Carney, yeah.
Carney. Although the face of her space is not women-owned. You know what I mean? She always has a male in the front.
Mhm.
So that might change it. But not talking about other people's things. I think in some ways my being Black is stronger than being a women's space, but I do believe that because Kate's in there so much more than I am, as a face, definitely we're touching on that women's space, and women have come in and talked to us. We've had so many interesting people come in and just be so grateful. Last year, the first year, we were excited about it. The second year, we had people that were returning and that had been sent by friends, and that was a really wonderful feeling. So now we're opening up for our third year, and we're getting people that have been waiting for us to reopen, and so and it's not always to buy big things or whatever, but to just kind of be in our presence and, be in the space. And so I know we're feeling something. And there was one other Black owned gallery by a woman before me. I'm not sure of how long her stint was or whether it was kind of a real estate space, but there was a combination. So I bow to her and am grateful, but I do think that, it's really important that that people of color get to see themselves, in these roles, in spaces that maybe you don't see very much of yourself. We've had women come in and literally crying because they counted 25 Black persons since they've gotten on the Cape, and that was almost a week ago. And I believe since I've been here, um, that there's a larger population of Black visitors who are coming in. Um, I think there's a larger population of Black people that are starting to stay here, besides our beautiful Jamaican community, but more from other backgrounds, you know. And I'm really grateful to see that happening, and I want to support that too.
That's great. I know that when I stop by your space, I stop maybe like once a month in the summer. It's always so lively. It's always so full of laughter. It's really hard to, because usually I'm there to deliver prints because I do prints for you. And it's hard to just deliver the prints because you're both busy and you have people around you. It's a very lively and welcoming space. So is that something that you were aiming for or something that just organically happened? That people just go there to hang out and have fun?
Well, if you do put a table with chairs in the front of your space, it's almost like, and this is one of the things that I've always wanted, because people try on leveralls. Now, I'm going to describe those in a
it's
minute.
on my list. We're going to talk about the leveralls.
We have really comfy chairs that we set out so that the people that like come with them get to sit and be comfortable while they're, going through their prancing and having their fun with like the lights and everything else. And I, you know, Provincetown is a place where you come to slow down. I really do believe that. And when they come into this space, they're not in a rush. They're not in a rush to get to the next place. They really are interested in like just having a little bit of time. And a lot of people aren't listened to or heard, right? Or, one of the other beautiful things that I love is that Kate will recite a poem that she's written. She'll recite Mary Oliver, which is her go-to, and she knows so many of them. And people slow down and their body temperature slows down and their whole being just relaxes. And it's such a gift. Like that kind of a gift isn't a gift you lose, or you can take that forever. Like if you're given a pair of, or if you purchase a pair of Leveralls or whatever, that can actually, they could be damaged. You can like leave them behind. You could gift them to somebody. But if somebody recites something to you and they and there's this wonderful resonance that happens in a space while you're getting that, that's your personal gift that you can take. And I just love that.
That's beautiful. Now, loveralls. That's L apostrophe overalls, right?
Yes, it is.
Loveralls.
Yes, it is.
And in your first year that you were here, I would see a few of them here and there. So for the viewers and the listeners who don't know, these are basically tie-dye overalls, right? But
I'll let you go there, but
actually,
like
the ones you're wearing now, you painted on them, so it's more than just tie-dye.
there, you know what, people will say, "Oh, but how'd you make them?" But if you look at 5, or each
They're
one
all
is done
unique.
differently, and like I said, with my art, like the techniques that I may be using are techniques that I've used in printmaking, techniques that I've used in painting, techniques that and they're all kind of mixed up, or in light, fast materials, or all sorts of other materials that so it's not like they're one of a kind, or I'd be bored, right? So you really do get your own experience.
Well, last summer, 2025, all of a sudden, almost everybody was wearing them. I was seeing them everywhere in town. There were the overalls. Didn't you have jackets or shirts?
Yeah, we
also
have jackets and shirts now
so
too,
it's
and
becoming
vests.
becoming a very sought after item here in Provincetown.
Right.
So what do you have coming in the loverall department for this summer?
Well, I would have to say, you'll have to see. It's the first year we had like 8 like displayed as art like across a wall, and I put them in. I left. I went to do something. I came back. Kate said, Myra, I just sold 3 of those, and I don't know, 3 or 4. And I was like, oh wow, that's a thing. So we slowly built it up until where last year it was just it was crazy beautiful. So I have new materials that I've gotten in stock to play with on them. So that's interesting, and it's kind of fun to take what I was doing towards the end of last year and grab some of what I was doing for the first year and see how those, it's just about like mix and match. So there's still going to be Loveralls. I'm not sure if we're going to have people keep on saying, Myra, I would love one that you spent like half of a day making. So that type of a thing might happen along the way. But we like to have a sliding scale in pricing. We're really, really trying to be conscientious. There are people that come to this town that have plenty to share. And then there's people that are, teachers, which we're really not as a society paying very well, and young students and that are using a credit card that I wish they would stop using. Anyway, so there's all these different types of other artists. So by giving it a sliding scale, and it's a nice broad sliding scale, it's like 165 to 225. Now I've locked that in for this year, didn't I? It was last year's too, so we'll see. But at any rate, that gives a real big range. And then there's sometimes somebody that goes, wow, I can just feel the amount of work that went into this pair. It's not a problem here. Take this a little bit more. And then there's people that are, is there any way that you can do something a little bit less? And we try. We try to accommodate everyone and in that way. And I feel like if we all as a society looked at, they have this trickle down theory. I'm not sure how well that works, but in a space like ours, that's been working with our loverware. And we now have the question is, what is new? Roveralls.
What's that?
Roveralls are
For dogs.
we have doggy wear.
Okay.
I feel so. I'm like, really, Myra? Yes, we have doggy wear.
Oh, that will be very sought after in this town.
It's so they're so cute too. I haven't started posting, but it's so, and we babysit, we doggy sit Kate's daughter and husband's dog periodically. We'll have them him in April. So we're used to she's used to the dressing of the dogs. I'm not quite as good at all of that as Kate is. She's more hands-on. I'm more creative.
Well, I think people are really noticing that there's a lot of joy and happiness put into the process of creating this clothing, and that's why they're seeking it. And I think that's why more and more people are wearing it, because when they put it on, they feel the joy
Mhm.
and they feel the happiness that comes
Mhm.
with wearing something colorful and bright and unique like that.
Mm.
And last summer, really, more and more people were coming in my gallery, and you could
Mhm.
tell they were so proud to wear
Right.
that. Yeah.
Well, as a Black woman, with everything that's going on in the world, I realize that I'm not quite as anxious about it, but that's because I was used to putting on my armor every day before I left the house. Even here in Provincetown, I mean, even though it's so embracing of who I am, and I'm so grateful for all that, there is, microaggression, and I even give it to other people. So, anyway, so the Loveralls, we call them like, joy armor, right? And like when somebody puts it on, when they go home to Texas where they've, can't find a bathroom that they can use or whatever, but they've got a pair of Loveralls on, they feel good. And when you're smiling, people smile at you. And it's an amazing thing. Or when they see you wearing something bright, they might just give you a nod, right? And that's just that's what the Loveralls are about. The Loveralls are about that day that you're feeling a little bit down. You grab your vest, you grab your jacket, you grab your shirt, you grab your Loveralls. You just and you go out. And you use that as your armor so that you can, and we've really come to that last year. And people were talking about, because they come to us and they discuss what it's like to be in the Midwest, what it's like to be in Florida, what it's like to be in different spaces and places where they're not quite as out and proud, like they can't hold hands with their loved one, or and now they have this like place that they remember that they go. And I said to them, listen, it could be a pair of Loveralls, it could be a painting from here, or a painting from our next door neighbor, or a pin from upstairs, or a shirt from upstairs, or a rock that you found on the beach that gives you that joy. Take it, put it in your pocket, and that's your armor for the day. Because sometimes you got to wear the suit. You can't wear the Loveralls, but put that rock in your pocket. You've got this. You've got this joy. You've got this thing, this beautiful thing that a place that you can go and be fully you.
Welcome back. Don't forget to follow the Art Colony podcast on Instagram at the Art Colony Podcast. And also, if you want to support the podcast, you can go to buymeacoffee.com, look for the Art Colony podcast, and leave us a tip. You can help us maintain the podcast on the air in that way. And also, if some of you are interested in maybe supporting us in different ways, you can always contact us through Instagram or at the Art Colony Podcast at gmail.com. We're happy to hear any of your suggestions. Myra, we haven't talked about your paintings yet. We've been talking about all these things, but we haven't talked about your paintings. What do your paintings look like?
Oh my goodness. All right. So since I've moved here, I have developed a whole nother new style, which isn't a surprising thing. But the style is radiance art. Right. And it's the energy that comes from the art is shared with the human. And so it's comes from a huge installation. The first one was in a 600 square foot space, and it had four 6-foot totems, which was made out of tar paper, and the walls were fully painted with both neon and paint, all kinds of paint.
Phosphorescent
Right,
paint.
right,
Is that the
exactly.
word?
Yeah, that's a great.
Phosphorescent paint.
Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. That sounds
Yeah.
sophisticated. I like it. All right. So the totems, I've been bending glass tubes for neon lights, and so the totems are tar paper that goes up 16 feet, 6 feet. And there's all these cutouts within the tar paper, and the lights are sunk down in the middle of them. And the reason that happened was because I did want it to be a healing space, and neon light is a little too strong as a light on its own. So that's when I realized, oh wow, um, you know, if I obscure it a little bit, then it's soft enough, but it's still vibrant enough to react to the walls, so that the energy between the two would have a conversation. And that means that when you walk through it, you're feeling that energy. of the neon lights reacting to the walls, and it's really important to me about that energy. And so the paintings that I've been creating are also out of the phosphorescent painting. I did a series that was coming to Provincetown. I did a series that was thanking the people that had, so they were kind of images of, because it was all done at Castle Hill. Edgewood is their
It's their campus.
is their
Yeah.
campus, right?
Yeah,
So I was
we had Sherry Mittenthal
right,
about 6 or 7 episodes ago. You can listen to all about
right.
the Truro Center for the Arts at
Right.
Castle Hill, and you were a resident
Right,
there.
and I was a resident there,
Yeah.
and that's where I built the first 2 series of this, and then I went to the Commons, and I used the big room, and I built an I don't know how big that one was, but it was very big.
It was big and it was impressive.
And it
You would walk into the big room at the Commons, and it was a completely immersive experience.
right,
It wasn't just paintings on the wall.
right,
You were entering into a space that you created
right,
with light and color,
right.
and it was a whole journey. It was really
Right.
impressive.
And that inspired me to actually, I've been doing yoga for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years now. And I really wanted to learn sound bath work because of the vibrations of the energy that comes from the sound bath. So that would be the color vibrations as well as the sound bath, so that I could actually sit in the space itself for 8 hours or so and play sound bath, and people could come sit down, get a little bit of this wonderful energy and feeling, and move on, or sit with me,
So you're aiming for
um
all the senses in your art. It's
yeah,
an art that's not just visual, but it's also audio. It's how your body feels in it. You're aiming for all the senses.
right, right, right.
Yeah.
And so over time, right, everything is step by step. And so, but the paintings themselves, they also have messages on them, and the messages to me are really, really important about. And some may find it cliche, but like, the heart has to crack for the soul to become free. That was one of the first messages, and that was me moving out here. And um, when I wrote it, I thought, "Oh my god, that's what's happening to me right now. I'm just, I'm free. I'm freeing up, and I'm almost swelling up because of that feeling that I had at that moment." And then as I was finishing the piece, I realized, "Oh my god, since I've done all this work, my heart probably cracked 3 more times." Oh, it happens often. It's not like a one-shot deal and done, you know? But I also grab, lines from Kate's poems, and from her writing, and, like, sometimes she'll give me some writing and I rearrange it, because it's too long, you know? So I grab some, like, I mean, she's a writer, so I don't blame her for it to be. So there's a lot of kind of sharing that happens in that space. For us, and that also, those messages are the same messages of how we want to live in the space that we are in, right? And I, as a Black artist, have struggled because there's so many Black messages that I would like to put out there, and every once in a while, you will see me paint on a door and make a message that is about, my culture, but most of the time, I've always wanted to create, even as a young person, was something that would give, the viewer a sense of joy and peace. Like, so I was creating the work for when the activist came home, or the person, the doctor, whoever it is, when they came home from doing their work, and making the voices of maybe those who are in more challenging spaces heard, they come home and they get to look on the wall and see something that gives them a sense of peace and rejuvenates them, so that they can go back out the next day and do it all over again. So that's the work. And I believe in radical joy. And I believe that joy is a radical act. And especially right now, it is not an easy thing to try to give joy to people every day. And because that's really where we have to be, joy and love. Joy and love.
Yeah, and your gallery, your space, and you and Kate, you both really radiate that. As in Radiance Gallery. You fit the title. That's
Well,
great.
it's funny, she words, because I had all these different, like, Myra's Place, this, da, da, and she was like, "Radiance Art." And I was like, "Oh, that's it. That's so perfect."
Mhm.
Yeah, so she nailed it.
Yeah, and, yeah, Kate is also a photographer.
Yeah,
'Cause I
yeah.
you've done shows also of her photography. I know
Right,
because I
yeah.
printed the photos. Yeah.
Right,
I
and
said we'd talk about Kate behind her back. Yeah.
yeah, and I'm really, really excited, because, we had a small stint in India, but, even just at Mass MoCA, I mean, she would show me what she shot, and, she has a beautiful eye, it's, like, poetic, you know? So it's not like a beautiful sunset, right? It's not like that fabulous bird flying in the sky, which are all beautiful photos, but they're of what of sometimes just the mundane or not seen or seen, but all of a sudden once it's put into a frame, it's just this special moment, like a doorway with uh, beautiful curtains in front of it, and you're kinda curious, "What's going on in that doorway?" Like, there's a whimsy and there's a curiosity that can happen in her work that I just really, really enjoy.
Well, I think also her poet's soul comes
Mm,
out also in visual art,
right.
not necessarily just in the words,
Right,
but also in the
right,
way she sees the world
right,
and captures it with the
right,
camera.
right, right.
So before we forget, if people want to, find out more about your work and the gallery, where should they go to find you?
I've kept it really easy for people.
Mhm.
Myrakooy. Google it, and everything will come up.
Well, you have a name like mine that doesn't have much competition, I guess.
It's like Myra Kooy. I just was like, Myra, you could be all sorts of things, but why don't you just be Myra? So that was easy, and it's 8 letters, so I can remember it even on a bad day. Um, and then Radiance Art Gallery on Instagram, is, really where we are right now. I mean, if you Google Radiance Art Gallery, it comes up as well. Um, and Radiance Art Gallery in Provincetown. So we're not leaning too heavily on the tech side of
Mhm.
things yet.
And what's your address on Commercial Street?
Oh, 376 Commercial Street.
376 Commercial Street, right in the basement of the Women Crafts building.
Right.
Yeah. So you can, go see Myra, go see Michelle, talk
Yeah.
about both the podcasts. That's great. Okay, before I let you go, I cannot let you go before we do the speed round. It's very important.
Right. You make me nervous with the speed round stuff.
But you've heard it before, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you asked people questions that they weren't ready for.
That's the point. Okay. This actually leads to something you said right at the beginning. You have to make a choice now.
Mm.
Yoga or cold plunge?
Cold plunge, maybe, but because maybe I can do like calisthenics and make believe it's not yoga. So I need that for my health and my mind.
Well, I know I've seen you and Kate come back from cold plunges once in a while.
Cold
I'm
plunge.
walking to
Yeah.
work and I see you two coming
Yeah.
back. You are literally bouncing off the asphalt. You're so happy and so full of joy and so full of energy. So it
I
works
cold
for me.
plunged today.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it works for you.
Yeah, it does. It does. I love cold plunge.
But you've been also doing more that's yoga centered now, also, right? You're teaching it, I think.
Right. Well, I do restorative with a sound bath as well as a sound bath. So there's two different classes which I'll be teaching again this year. The last year I only taught it's not even teaching, it's an offering. You know, people are gifted a moment of respite, and that's what I'm offering. I offer a moment of respite. And what I love about sound bath is I am actually, as I play, I'm also exposed. So I'm healing self as I'm working on other people. So it's like win-win. Yay,
Yeah,
yay,
absolutely. I had
yay.
never thought of it that way.
But it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I come out and Kate will be like, oh, good. Yeah. She needed that.
Okay, next question. This one relates to the art world. If you had to choose just one, would it be Leonardo da Vinci or Vincent van Gogh?
That's interesting. I love the science.
And Leonardo was a scientist.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what radiance is. I really love and I'm not really manic. Like I don't need to cut off I don't need to, but I am a little I have a little bit of, issues. I think we don't have to bring that up here. I really love Leonardo, but I love the energy of the strokes that exist in Van Gogh. Like those strokes are like, I mean, I want to like you almost want to lick them. I mean, right? And I've been to Italy and I was in Leonardo's studio, right? And I was and that really kind of it was exciting to see how his mind was working in those spaces. But as a final product in the work, yeah, like those inventions, they're so cool. No, I can't do both, right? So,
I mean, there's no punishment, so you're fine.
did I do good?
Yes, you did well.
Okay.
Okay, now, Myra, we're going to go on vacation. Are we going to Europe or to Asia?
Oh, I've never been to Asia, so I have to go to Asia.
Cool.
I've been to Europe already enough times, but I haven't been to Asia. I am going to Asia. Thank you, and have a very nice day. Yeah.
And they have wonderful food there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, good.
yeah.
That was an easy choice. Yay.
Finally, right?
Yeah. So, in your gallery, do you prefer late nights or early mornings?
You mean when I'm working like to create or
Yeah, sorry, that's what I meant. I meant in your studio. I said it wrong.
Well, it's okay because in a way I consider the gallery like right now there's like things that are hanging that have to be completed, but they're out in the like gallery space because it is a studio space too. So I like the mornings for going to the water and centering myself. Honestly, if I have to do the paperwork part of like being an artist and owning spaces and different things, I can function and do that in the morning, but I can't do that after like 1 or 2 o'clock. I'm like done. So because it's just my mind is like, okay, yeah, no. But then for some reason I can discipline myself enough to get a lot of paperwork done.
And the last one, of course, is always the most important question. The last one: regular M&Ms or peanut M&Ms?
Peanut, please.
Peanut, please. You know which ones I like the best? I like the almond M&Ms the best.
I haven't had those.
I like those the best.
I'm going to look for them and then I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Yay.
Because when I have an opening in my gallery, on Fridays in the summer, we have the gallery stroll. Usually I put M&Ms all around the gallery, but I keep the almond M&Ms by my desk.
I love that.
Well, Myra, this has been an absolute pleasure. And I'm so happy you were able to join me on the podcast. But before we go, we have to remind people, MyraKooy, Myra Kooy. You can Google that. And on Instagram, it's
Radiance Art Gallery.
And you can find them also. Are you open year round?
We're around a lot. Like we're open now, like on the weekends. And if you called us, we'd come in. We might even be there, from now to winter.
And in the summer, are you open every day or do you have a day off?
Oh yeah, we take off.
You take off.
Which not like we haven't decided this year exactly. I guess we have other things that we do. Like Kate's a tutor. She does yoga teaching and she tutors young people and older people in poetry. So depending on what that schedule is, I lean towards like a Tuesday or something like that, having off. Monday sometimes, like last year, I think it might have been Monday, Tuesday, but we might be there.
Yeah, I take Tuesdays off, and I find that it's a good day because a lot of businesses take Tuesday off during the summer, so that's a good day for the whole town to take a breath. But yeah, people can find you in the East End at, what was it again? 3
East? Yeah, I guess it's almost East, isn't it? It's close to East. 376.
376 Commercial Street. So thank you so much for joining me.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me. It was really, really a treat. It was such a treat to, and all my nerves are gone.
Well, good. I didn't feel the nerves at all. And thank you all for joining us. Have a great day.
Thank you.